Vocal warm-ups. Brad, you look stiff.
Yeah, it's really me. I've been seeing a lot of AI generated videos lately, so thought I'd act like one.
I've been trying to create them, and I'm like, I could do this better than AI. Like, there's no reason to.
It's pretty crazy. Um, but yeah, don't get me started on that.
Yeah, I
It's
watched a
all
whole
in the.
Netflix documentary with Bill Gates on AI and its implications. It's pretty interesting, also pretty
AI is
scary in the wrong way. Yeah.
nothing compared to quantum computing. If you really want to talk tech, we talk quantum computing.
Hmm.
I
I
don't
don't know
think your
that I
brains
want
can
to talk
handle it.
quantum computing, but you
Okay,
can
so
feel
you
free to
got it.
drop some knowledge. Yeah.
I'm gonna do my best. All right. So quantum computing uses these things called qubits, and a qubit is not like a bit. A bit has to be either a one or a zero, right? And let's not get into how all that stuff works. A qubit can be a one and a zero at the same time. Mind blowing, right? And these
Mm-hmm.
qubits, it can exist. So take one qubit, it can change another qubit instantaneously because they exist in a multiverse.
Whoa.
So Google came out with this new Willow chip. It's like a 106 qubit chip, right? And they did this computation. I forgot what they call it, like a basic foundational computation. And it did it in 5 minutes. And like the world's largest supercomputer, it would take it like quadrillion, I don't know, like a 1 and 20 zeros behind it, years to do it. And so physicists and theorists speculated that it was doing the computation in an infinite number of multiverses because a qubit can be here and here at the same time. So they shut it down with no explanation. We live in a multiverse.
I don't get it. But
Mind blowing.
yeah, that documentary was interesting to have Bill Gates riffing with James Cameron, because James Cameron's like, it's really hard for me to come up with new sci-fi movies because it takes a couple years to go from idea to screen, and by that time it may not be sci-fi anymore. You know how hard it is to stay ahead of things at the rate of change.
So
Interesting.
I have this sort of, I don't know. I think of our brains, I think of our bodies as like organic machines because they are. And I think of our brains as like an organic computer. And it's been evolving, right? We've been programmed to evolve all these billions of years just to create a quantum computer that then becomes the pinnacle of evolution or organically. But particles are organic. So you could argue that it is actually an organic computer. I don't know. I just lost myself.
You lost yourself. You lost me. You lost the viewers.
Come back, all of you.
It's a hot topic. I mean, at what point are we supplemental? I mean, does the Earth need us? Do we need the Earth? I mean,
The
how
Earth does
far
not need
can
us.
how far can a computer go, a chip, without organic life? I mean, then what would be the point? So either we coexist, in my opinion, with all this advancement, or one of us has got to go.
Well, I mean, the qubit, the quantum humans or organisms will leave because they don't need oxygen. They'll be fine. And the Earth will be very happy. The Earth will say bye-bye. And then, you know, some other version of us or something else will take over.
It's all
I
about
just think
love,
it's crazy.
man.
Like, there's been other, big changes, revolutions, industrial revolution, etc. But like, I mean, we grew up watching the Jetsons and things like that. Where it's like, hey,
Love the Jetsons.
I get pulled out of bed and my teeth get brushed for me and my breakfast is ready as I go across the conveyor in the house. And it's like, you were always thinking of how sci-fi or how technology was going to be cool and make life easy, like do all these things that you don't have to do And like a lot of that's here right now. A lot of, I mean, robotics, computing, like can do a lot of things that you don't have to do. But it's like, is it for good or is it for harm? And I think that's a really interesting thing is it's going to go so fast, right? So the harm is it goes so fast, and people that had jobs are out of jobs, right? Trying to reinvent themselves, and how, because those skill sets maybe were displaced and improved by computers. That's like the grim side of it. And the good side of it is like, would we, if we had the ability to rely on a machine to do the things that we'd otherwise do, would we fill our days with more leisure? Because what I see is like the tech geniuses just get busier. The people adopting it just do more.
I will make this argument. We should focus as a society to create devices, machines that help us around the house only, so that we can get out of the house and get back to community, which is our problem right now. And that's, that's the way that, people, it's the reason why people find themselves depressed and sad and all these things, right? They're not out there in the community. But I will argue that being the only dad at a full first grade class birthday party sponsored by Spider-Man with only moms is not what I have in mind when I'm talking about this. Just FYI.
That reminds me of a time that when I was in kindergarten where I was the only guy invited to an all-girls birthday party because the girl in class thought my name was Michelle. She was new to the class. And so I got an invite and showed up there, and I was the only guy. And I ended up wait out in the front yard calling my mom to come pick me up because the girls teased me, And you had the adult version of that, Brad. I hope you didn't get teased.
I didn't get teased, but I found myself in some very interesting conversations, and I think I did well. I held, I think I held the standard. But there was another dad there. It was the dad of the boy at this party, and he came up to me, I think, like after probably my 10th individual conversation with the mom, and he said, "Hey, do you drink tequila?" And I was like, "No, I don't drink." And he just said, "Oh." And then he walked outside and came back. I was like, "You knew what you were getting into, buddy. You knew you were ready. You're ready for this one."
That was his help.
Yeah.
Look, I think it's all about love, and it sounds weird. It sounds weird.
Are we talking about love?
Love is the one thing.
Party? All right.
Look, this is why we have the birthday parties. Love's the one thing that can transcend space and time. When that kid's an adult, they're going to think about that birthday party, all the good memories. And if like some microchip is out there flying into the universe without this intangible, I mean, it's all about opening up that delivery, and getting that product and that feeling you get when you're like, oh, it's here.
Yeah,
I mean, without us, there's none of that. There's none of that.
We're talking about quantum computing and now love. Come on.
I'm talking about...
I like riffing, but pull us back. What are we talking about?
I'm talking about the purpose of why we're here on this planet, why we do what we do. That dopamine that drops when you get a product in your lap. Highly anticipated.
We have a computer program running in our head as we speak.
Well, look, on that note, are you guys familiar with this gelato company? They have software and supply chain solutions that they're pretty much creating localized production systems to leap over these hurdles in the supply chain.
No, tell me.
Is it quantum computing based?
It's 3D printing based.
No, I love 3D printing. I think that's here to stay, but needs some scalability.
I mean, do you think this is a supply chain optimization? Is it going to cost people their jobs as far as 3PLs and these distributors? Pretty much. I mean, they're cutting out the middleman to get into cross-border selling by setting up infrastructures where the product can be produced locally.
I mean, I think when 3D printing first came out, I was really into it, mainly because I was reading stories of startups that were printing like makeup. I was like, that's a really good application, right? If you've seen a 3D printer, it's got like, the sort of ink cartridge, and I was like, yeah, that you could print like any color lipstick or any color blush or whatever it is. I don't know how you take a formula and put it into a printable cartridge, and how that works. But I thought that was really, really cool. And they were touting about how, yeah, every woman's going to have a 3D printer in their bathroom, and they just, will print the custom lipstick that they want. And I was like, okay, well, how do you have all the different colors and, formulas, like I said? But I thought it was really cool. So I guess the point is, I think there's some limited applications, right? Like how many of these things, what types of things can they make, right? I did see another fascinating use case. It was actually a former partner of mine. His kid was begging for a 3D printer. And his dad was like, well, they're pretty expensive. What the heck are you going to use a 3D printer for? And he goes, well, I'm going to print parts for RC cars and I'm going to sell them on eBay. And he was like, that's pretty cool. And so he downloaded, I don't know, like tens of thousands of directions for all these different parts for RC cars. And when he'd get an order, he would just print it and ship it. And I was like, that's pretty cool. But how big is that market, right? So I don't know. I think it just comes down to like, what can you make and how big of a market is there for whatever it is a 3D printer can make.
Yeah, it's a cool concept, right? I mean, I think if we could figure out localization, then we'd all be better off for it, like in a variety of ways. It's just that it's localization versus scale and efficiency, right? So like behind my house, I've got a little farm. We'll do localization of food. I got a little farm. I can look out there. There's people picking whatever, and it changes stuff all year round. And I'm told that it serves the local grocery stores around here. But like, wouldn't it be great if I could like just give me a tomato right back there? But instead, they probably put it in a truck, ship it over to a distribution center, put it into other trucks, go to the grocery store, and maybe I'm getting that tomato, or maybe I'm getting one across the world, right? Like, if you can figure out how to serve the demand of a local community, you get it faster, fresher, etc. But like, is that more efficient than just throwing acres and acres and acres of corn in the central of the country and then shipping it across the world? Like, it's a nice idea, right? But it all comes down to cost and efficiency.
I think you just came up with a brand there, Mike. Get me a tomato.
Get me a tomato.
I don't think I've ever heard anyone say, get me a tomato.
Yeah.
And also, just a clarification, Mike does not have a farm in his backyard. He has a killing zone in his backyard. Would you like to explain?
There's a lot of critters that come in off the farm, namely the squirrels, and it's a battle keeping the squirrel population down.
Squirrel killer. Squirrels are so cute, man. I used to love watching the squirrels in the trees.
Yeah,
growing up in Virginia.
I used to too, but
they're pretty aggressive here in LA. They're pretty bold. They're like, nah, this is my sidewalk. I think they're
crossbreeding with rats and mice and other things. We found some very strange looking, like it was like a massive gerbil. I've never seen one here before, and I was like, okay, like I've never seen that. I couldn't find it online, and so I think a squirrel maybe met a rat. Kind of like Neanderthals and Homo sapiens, like they kind of hooked up.
It's the multiverse. The portal's open. They're coming in from the other side.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Well, here's the thing. We got ahead of this Latin American market expansion, and now it's coming to light that countries like Mexico are expecting significant online sales growth at a rate of 24%. Colombia coming in at 12%. And so the supply chain structure as it is now, if there's natural disasters, war, things like that, it's very fragile. So I think what the demand is to bypass any type of weather, whether it be political, economic, actual weather, and be able to produce outside of food, outside of agriculture, within the region. So, there's conversation about the native products there, but then also fortifying their infrastructure as it stands now. But it's happening. I mean, we were talking about this months ago, and we got on it. You guys want to speak on any new updates as far as the attention you're seeing with Latin American marketplace expansion, or any kind of notes from our recent, I guess, progress?
I have a ton to say. Mike, you want to go first?
Yeah, I think first is that we're all just watching the news like everybody else, right? So there's a lot of speculation as to what politics are going to come into play that's going to affect tariffs and trade. But that's not new, right? Like imposing trade law and tariffs has been going on for some time. So like maybe there's an impact between China to U.S., Mexico to U.S., Canada to U.S. Maybe there's a response to that. So U.S. to Mexico, U.S. to China, U.S. to Canada. But that stuff's been going on for a long time. Now, I think a lot of these manufacturers have sites in other countries to get around that stuff. And then also we're kind of missing the point of like country to country trade, right? There's a lot of containers of our clients that come in and enter the U.S. and they go into the U.S. marketplaces, but those same clients haven't really penetrated into products going into Brazil. Well, guess what? If it becomes more complex to go China to U.S. to Brazil, then there's all sorts of different layovers that can be selected, right? So I think first it's really identifying the demand and meeting the demand, right? And then we can find out what routes are the most cost effective, right? So it's both just like the trade routes, and it's also these de minimis laws, which I think the de minimis laws arguably have more impact, particularly in our space of e-commerce, right? Where forget the tariff, whatever the tariff is, 10%, 8%, 20%. If it's under $800, we can find a way of staging it and shipping it in and paying zero taxes and duties. So I think the de minimis one will be very impactful for a lot of businesses, but I don't think that as we watch, and there will be an impact and we're interested in what that impact is, I don't think it at all precludes a brand from like meeting the reality that there is growing e-commerce demand in these Latin American countries. Consumers are buying online in Mexico and Brazil at a growing clip, right? So how can we efficiently list products and have product placements that attract, hey, what is the demand of my product in country? And then we can work out the logistics in the back.
Yeah, I mean, this is such a loaded question. I think you got to go way up first, right? So the big brands, Nike, Apple, all these guys, they know there's demand in these countries for them. So they have a very easy time of investing in those countries, right? Whether it's boots on the ground, inventory in country, because like the name of the game is being as close to the consumer as you possibly can when it comes to being, say, a US brand who maybe you make it here, you probably don't, but just the less shipping, the better the margins, the better the cost to the consumer, you know, et cetera, et cetera. So what's happening is the mid-market brands who had all brands, frankly, had, the surge during COVID and put all this money into e-commerce and marketplaces, and now it's flattened out. And they're like, okay, what else can I do? Enter in emerging countries like Mexico, Brazil, Colombia, Latin America. And they're saying, okay, well, I want that growth. I'm not sure what the demand is, so I can't put inventory in country yet because that's going to lock up their cash, and cash is king. And so, but they need data, right? And so that's where I think we're seeing the demand is, frankly, in getting the data so that they can make further investments into those markets. And so cross-border sales is a great way to do that. It's not just that is not just including logistics. That is also including tech, right, and knowledge. So having the tech to be able to list on different marketplaces, or having websites in multiple languages, and then being able to understand the numbers of shipping out of, say, a U.S. inventory position or a position in another country into that Latin American country. And, you're talking about 17 different countries, right? With 17 different rules and regulations, tariffs, things like that. But once you can get that data, then I think you can make an informed decision about, okay, what do I do next? Do I put a forward inventory position near the border? Do I put inventory in country? It's not going to make sense for a lot of brands to do step 2 and 3. I was talking to a guy yesterday. He has a turntable, like a turntable, which I think I'd be pretty good at. But, he wants to grow in Latin America. And I'm like, okay, this sounds pretty nichey. I like niches, but I'm not sure how cost effective it's going to be for you to ship from here to there. And you might think, well, I could never imagine putting that inventory in country down there, but you might not have a choice if you want to be competitive. Now, I know nothing about the turntable industry yet. I will by the end of today, all the brands and the demand in country and things like that. But I'm going to go out on a limb and say his best bet is to put 10, 20 units in Mexico and Brazil if they're selling for $1,000 or $2,000. And that way he can stay competitive against the other turntable brands or distributors in country to do that. And so I think that's just an example of every product and every brand is different. But I think we got to understand, like, where is this pressure coming from? It's the need to grow. It's the reduction of friction from a technology perspective. And it's the expansion of logistics networks that has sort of facilitated this. But, it's not going to be something where, you're going to have to be patient. You're going to have to come up with a plan, and you're going to have to stick to that plan, and you're going to have reasonable expectations. Some things just fly off the shelf, right? Like, we see it every day. We're like, oh my gosh, this one's amazing. Other stuff, it might not make that much sense. And so when something doesn't make sense for Latin America, I think we're pretty good at helping brands understand that and then say, well, listen, you still need the growth. Here are some alternative ways to do that, say, in the US market. So a lot of times we get the call, hey, I want to go to Latin America. And transparently, we say, well, from our perspective, it doesn't make a lot of sense. We should probably turn our attention over to these other marketplaces or other tactics like social commerce or things like that. But most brands should try, because you need the data to then decide what you're going to do next.
And you're talking about other marketplaces outside of Latin America and social commerce, other retailers, Nordstrom, Macy's, things like that.
Mike knows, and but I don't think a lot of other brands are paying attention to the fact that all these retailers here in the US are sort of opening themselves up in the form of a marketplace that other sellers can sell on, which makes a lot of sense. The barrier to entry there has been significantly reduced. The consumer has been conditioned to, add multiple things to their shopping cart and trust that it's going to get, to their door when a certain retailer says it's going to get to their door. So this is Dick's Sporting Goods, Best Buy, Kohl's, JCPenney, Sears. I mean, you name me a big retailer, chances are they have a marketplace that you could probably get onto. They're all different, but at the end of the day, it's about getting more eyeballs, getting an order, and being able to ship that order out. And so there is this sort of general synergy that we try to create for brands, where an order just looks like an order and a shipment just looks like a shipment. And they don't have to really worry too much about the ins and outs of a specific marketplace. That's where we come in and help brands out.
Yeah, it's a good distinction, because we've had podcast episodes before on TikTok Shop, specifically Latin American selling. But when we talk about it internally in Current Conference, it's all just market expansion, channel expansion, right? Where does your product sit now and what channels exist that are an opportunity to attract new customers or have a different conversion cycle, right? And what's great, and we haven't even talked about it, I don't think, is the compound effect, right? So you can go and, if you're a beauty brand or a apparel brand or luxury brand and you're not on Nordstrom, like maybe you should be on Nordstrom, right? And maybe you'll have additional sales conversions on Nordstrom. But guess what? You're also going to attract a whole bunch more eyeballs that see your product on Nordstrom, and they may not check out on Nordstrom. What might they do? Probably what I would do is go and see, hey, what's the price of this on Amazon? And so, I mean, we talk to a lot of brands, but like a lot of them have that makeup of they're an Amazon brand, they have their Shopify or their Magento or whatever storefront D2C site. And so, hey, going and placing you on Overstock or Walmart or Target Plus if you can, or when we talk about Latin America is also just marketplaces. It's Mercado Libre, it's Casas Bahia, it's Americanas. They just serve a geographic demographic, right? So it's really like just understanding what marketplaces are a fit for your product, also a fit financially, that there's margin in serving that customer. But we don't talk enough, I think, about how it's just an alternative way of even growing your incumbent channels like Amazon, right? If you're out there in front of more eyeballs across different marketplaces, you'll have conversions there too. You'll have sales there too, but it will also create lift where your customers already shop, which is your site maybe, which is Amazon, etc. So there's kind of a double whammy.
Dude, there's a connection here to the multiverse.
All right, bring it home.
Your product, think of your product as a qubit, which can be a 1 and a 0 at the same time and exist on other marketplaces at the same time. So we enable you to the multiverse. That's it. We got it. We're changing our name. We're a quantum commerce company.
Yeah.
Quantum commerce. I just coined
commerce. It. Yep.
No one's talked about quantum commerce. Quantum commerce is the most glorious, fantastic thing ever invented. It's beautiful. And in the quantum commerce world, your product can be everywhere, all at the same time, at the same price.
I don't know. That's my best Trump interpretation.
And we don't even have to create a new currency because, people can just, it's all love. That's what it is.
Oh, gosh.
I want to pay with love. I love it.
Speaking of
quantum
Amazon.
commerce. I'm going with that. Quantum commerce. I'm going to write a white paper right after this call.
I mean, this talk about one platform, one marketplace giving lift to the other, it's a hot topic, meeting with TikTok and other partners earlier this week, how TikTok Shop contributes to lift on Amazon. And so it may not necessarily be it may just be more of a consumer acquisition model where consumers are finding the product on TikTok and then going over to Amazon to purchase, because apparently Amazon has just, it's fortified about having the lowest price. They're not going to let, is that true from your guys' experience? Like they're not going to let any other marketplace sell a product for less than what it's listed there.
True. I think it's both. Amazon's notorious for chasing price if Amazon's the seller, but a vast majority of the brands we're talking to, Amazon's not the seller, so the brand can control the price on Amazon, right? You can list your price for whatever you want. You can change your price as you see fit. But Amazon wants to be competitive with the market. But also it's not just that, it's that Amazon is fortified or mature in their customer acquisition lanes, right? In your sponsored product, sponsored brand, all of your AMS, Amazon advertising. That's why sometimes we're talking about alternative advertising techniques like DSP for the common man or external traffic. But like this marketplace expansion can be seen kind of sort of as an external traffic advertising technique too, right? But again, I think that it's both. I think it's the two for one, right? You're getting additional customers shopping on TikTok or Target or Kohl's or JCPenney, whatever the platform is. So you're having incremental sales, but even if the sales aren't overwhelming, I do think that it is an alternate form of advertising because you're out there in front of different eyeballs, and that may bring traffic back to Amazon for conversion.
I just think it's a whole new world, right? I mean, AI, quantum commerce, like all jokes aside, TikTok, the experience of shopping on TikTok, not, finding a video and then clicking a link and then purchasing something, like the live experience, I think is a whole new way for brands to get insights into their customer, right? And it's almost like, let's say we're just doing Amazon and we're doing okay. I don't know, we're selling something, 100 units a day. It's pretty good. I'll take that. But you don't know, like you can't sit there and watch the customer find your product and read about it and engage with it and then add it to the cart and then make the purchase, right? You can't watch that. It just happens and you miss all of that. And what's cool, I think, about TikTok Live, and I hope to see way more of this across the board with other marketplaces, there's some versions of it with Amazon, is in almost real time, right? In real time, you can kind of see how they're engaging, right? Who comes on, when they come on to view, comments that they make, how they react to other people's comments, almost like how's the algorithm working. It's those types of insights. And then, oh, by the way, you get to see how different messaging, say during live, or different types of UGC are good or bad. I mean, I think that's just invaluable, right? Like you can go pay a marketing agency or a branding agency a gob of money and get it completely wrong, but you can pay a creator a commission who could stumble upon the tagline that's going to make you a multi-million-dollar business. And oh, by the way, they're not trademarking that stuff, so it's pretty much yours to use and do what you want with. And so I to me, it's just a whole different level. It's not even comparable as a brand, the value that you can get out of social commerce, A/B testing, sandbox, all of these things, so that when you do go on to another marketplace or into another country or whatever it is that you're trying to do or we can help you with, you have way more information, about how to do it. So for me, that's, I got the question the other day from a brand, and they were curious, they were TikTok curious. And so we're kind of going through the motions, and it wasn't like a no-brainer for them to do TikTok in their defense. But then they kind of asked me the question, so, like, why should I do it? And I went through all the low risk reasons why they should do it. But then I talked about, this sort of invaluable aspect to it as far as customer feedback and customer requirements and customer experience. And his eyes lit up, and was like, oh my gosh, like I hadn't even thought of that, So I think that's the exciting piece. And I also think it's going to, if you have a good product that's value differentiated, it's going to set you apart from the products that aren't,
Yeah.
So instead of being one of 1,000 on Amazon that all kind of look the same, you can set yourself apart in front of 170 million potential consumers pretty easily, or you can make yourself look the fool. And,
I mean, there might be a middle ground there, but it's irrefutable. I mean, with the live streams in particular, the click-through rate, what you could see when they've added it to the cart and kind of investigate, well, why didn't they click purchase, like the click to purchase KPI, so things like that. And TikTok knows that this is it's a complicated situation getting going. And I told you this yesterday, Brad, like we are here to help usher merchants literally to their first sale. because it seems like it's just, all out there for the taking. And it really does take some work, not just setting up, but actually following through and having an agency like us there to support you and offer some insight. And so now we have the experience. I'm feeling good about it. I'm feeling good. And getting more connected with other partners and seeing what TikTok is willing to offer. But someone going in blind, it could be risky. But the lift that also translates over to Amazon is the fact that a new brand getting introduced to Amazon, they said it could take a year to get just 100 reviews. In your experience, is that true? Because here's the thing, having the TikTok shop, even though it's getting purchased on Amazon, could serve as the place for those reviews to happen, even though the purchase is being made on the other platform.
How long it takes to get 100 reviews is debatable, and how much you're pushing it, right? But to get those reviews for a new brand start, you're paying for it. You're paying for the eyeballs in promoting your product, because otherwise no one will ever find it, right? So you're sponsoring product, and the difference is that you're paying for every click, whether there's a purchase or not. And if you're new, it's hard to get the efficiencies of, your tacos down rapidly. So it's paying to learn the optimization, but getting some traffic from TikTok Shop is arguably unpaid. If you're putting stuff out there and creators are doing it, it's the cost of a sample if someone moves from TikTok to Amazon, right? It didn't cost you anything but a sample. Now, if they check out in TikTok, great. It's costing you a commission, but you're not paying for non-converting clicks, which is kind of the alternate on Amazon. The other thing that I would say just about this whole TikTok shop, or more broadly speaking, like social selling, is like just how rapidly it's developing. I mean, you can see it in the growth of TikTok, but like, guys, as TSP partners, like, we're getting texts, collaborations all the time, every day, right? From other partners that are using it, improving it from TikTok themselves. And so in the same way that Amazon's become really good about keeping their consumer base within Amazon, right? Loyalty and convenience and all that stuff. TikTok Shop doesn't want products promoted on TikTok Shop to bounce out of their engine, right? So they're also really quickly improving how to keep that conversion cycle within. And I think that they also acknowledge that when it bounces, can they track the bounce? Because it's no new news that Amazon loves external traffic. They're getting a customer from Google. Hell yeah. Like, that's a net new customer to them. And they pay for that in the terms of, sponsored products and sponsored brands, brand referral bonus, etc. So I think the attribution of tracking that customer from the post to the follower, or if they're pixelated on TikTok ads, that attribution process is under heavy consideration too. So point being, Amazon has a head start. Amazon is king, but a lot of these other marketplaces are using a lot of the same playbook on how can we keep customers within, how can we increase lifetime value, how can we improve conversions for the clients that we serve on these channels, and if a customer bounces and shops elsewhere, how can we track it? So we're seeing huge improvements in just the short time that we've been a TSP, but early adopters will reap the benefits of having these early learnings and getting optimized earlier than their peers.
We're also getting hit up a lot with the affiliate influencer recruitment services, those new platforms. And I got to drop into SOCOM 2025, which was pretty close to me where I'm at in Venice. And it was interesting. I mean, to be rubbing shoulders with it was international, but there's a bunch of people there with like backpacks that were just there for a day. And then, we walked over to the happy hour, and there were two lines, one for creators. So there's like this creator vibe, and you have like these influencer-esque, and everyone's kind of looking at each other like, well, who are you? Do I recognize you type thing? And I didn't have a badge because I got there late. I was just meeting up. I mentioned, someone, a partner of ours, potential partner, wanted to meet in person. And they're like, well, where's your badge? And he's like, oh, no. He's a TSP. And I'm like, yeah, you know what's up.
Nice.
Yep.
Special treatment.
So,
yeah,
I mean,
influencer recruitment. Go ahead, Brad.
No. I mean, look, all I was going to say was, what do we say every day with the new social commerce lead, right? Let's start with the product, right? And do some research. Okay, looks like there's a market for this on TikTok. And even if there isn't, maybe not seeing anything currently is a good thing, right? So let's go create the market on TikTok. And then we have to do our creators, the recruitment, the nurturing and the management, which is key. And then we get into UGC and watching that, nurturing that, get your following going. And then we go live and we do ads, right? And we don't have to do ads, right? But that's a good option to have. I'm obsessed with going live. We have some new brands coming online, and I'm going to raise my hand to go live for them. Mainly because I like their products, right? I think it'd be very difficult for someone like me, at least. I'll just speak for myself, to go live for something I don't like. Like, I can't be a trench coat, live host, right? But there are people that can do that, and the expectation is that's what they do. They're good at helping consumers understand a product, right? That's why you see some of the same direct response guys on, these commercials. But I do think, like, anybody who's passionate about a product can go live and do okay, if not do really, really well for themselves. I think it's important to categorize yourself, right? Like, I don't know what my category would be. Maybe it's like lazy dad who doesn't like to shop but still needs stuff, and if I don't get it for my wife, then I don't get it at all. I don't know if that's my category, but there's some category that makes sense for me to represent. And I think if everybody just challenged themselves to, okay, if I had to sell something live in front of people, what would I pick, right? What would I have the best chance of selling because of me, because of who I am? And I'm obsessed with it. I think it's incredible. And people forget, like, people just have become so spoiled with the tech behind all of this. I mean, the multi-streaming that's going on with these live sessions, having a little bit of that background in my past, is mind-blowing to me. It's not like you can just flip that on and all of a sudden you can multi-stream to tens of thousands of people live selling stuff that is enabled for commerce right then and there with a click of a button. I mean, it's incredible. So brands, you got to take advantage of it.
I'm rooting
really
for you, Brad. I can't wait to see you live.
You don't even know,
turntables.
buddy. You don't even know. We have a new compression shirt brand, and we nominated you to be the compression shirt host.
I don't know. I think you're talking about, I think that's an Eric Robert thing. I think Eric Robert's the next Body by Jake, from Direct Response, the Gazelle guy. You guys remember that guy?
That guy's awesome.
Yeah.
I told Brad, you're already prepared for this. I get to be like the progress. Like, I'll cultivate a following over 30 days and we'll just showcase the compression shirt. Like, look, now I don't even need the shirt.
I mean, look, let's be honest. I've got the biggest dad bod here. So I'm probably the compression shirt guy, but Mike, you can be the, got a supplement brand coming online. I don't know, looking pretty good for you.
Protein. Yeah. But hey, I want to go back to Eric Robert, your point on the influencer recruitment, because of what I saw on Monday blew my mind. So I'll try to simplify this for the audience. Like, when we first talk about these technology tools to identify influencers that are fit for you and then automate recruiting them, like, it was cool enough, but it was more or less, I view it as like a glorified report or query. It's like using the data attributes about them, what's in their bio, what kind of posts they do. It's like, all right, I'm a beauty brand. All right, I want influencers that are in that category, beauty, and subcategory of whatever, makeup, right? I want them to have X number of followers, but not more than Y number of followers. I want to see that they're actually generating revenue as an affiliate. So like very simple attributes to go narrow down the universe into who might be a fit for me. The stuff that I saw on Monday, like this stuff is just getting more and more advanced with how much data that they can pull in and automate. It was like we were looking at, all right, same thing, beauty brand. Well, what are some of your competitors like? Let's look at like Mac Beauty. Okay, Mac Beauty has these influencers. Some of them aren't even like an influencer of Mac Beauty, but it's pulling out that they have spoken about Mac or showcased the product. And then it's like, okay, well, let's go drill into that user. Here's every video that they've ever done. And here's the the view through rates on it. And here's the number of reposts and engagement. And like just the data that is now available to better inform who's a fit for you based on a ton of criteria. And then B, hook them to influence them to be a part of your brand is just growing leaps and bounds from 6 months ago. Right. So there's a lot going on behind it that we see as TikTok Shop partners that maybe brands don't know and appreciate, that I would love to walk any brand through just as an example, because I think as much as it blew my mind on Monday, I think anyone would be like, wow, this is really powerful to know the amount of people that are out there organically or paid talking about products just like mine, but not mine. Why can't we get them to talk about mine? It's really impressive.
And I just want to say something, because what we're witnessing here, I want to call to every influencer or affiliate account that sets it up and reaches out to brands and then gets the sample and does not make content and does not go live, and you just hoard samples that brands and businesses are offering. I hope that the multiverse finds you. I hope that AI collapses your little infrastructure of free product. And I don't know who you are or what you're doing, but we're coming for you, because that ain't cool. It ain't right. So
Sample
I'm on
fraud.
to you.
Yeah. You just created a new business, Eric Robert. It's influencer bounty hunting. Go and find all these thieves and bring them to justice, you know? You're going to need a mullet for that.
Well, I mean, look,
A mullet throw?
Samples are, yeah, you can borrow mine. Samples are part of the deal. And, if you've got a lower cost product, you maybe don't spend as much time worrying about that. But if you have a higher end product, it's an issue. And so that's where the vetting comes in, right, Eric Robert? And so just making sure that, we have a good, warm, fuzzy feeling about any creators that we're bringing into, a brand, and the opportunity to represent the brand in a meaningful way. And, but I'm with you. If you're out there just trying to trick people to get samples, come on, man.
I mean, I
cool.
hope these
man.
affiliates, these fake affiliates, I hope their children never receive an order on time in their life. Like, I want this to be a generational impact, because they really go out of their way. Like, they'll message you and be like, hey, I'm really stoked to work with you. Like, I haven't gotten your sample yet and all this. Swindled.
Eric Robert got catfished, and he's taking it real.
Yeah,
real
I did.
personally.
I got catfish.
You got Sayod. That all started on Amazon. I mean, Amazon used to allow you to give out products for reviews. So a whole industry got created, and then it got blown up. And I guess those people just said, oh, well, we'll just go do this over here now. So
I've learned to say no. I don't do well, like, even in-person catfishes. I'm like, you don't look anything like your picture. Like, some people would just go through it like, oh yeah, we had nope, bye. Anywho,
all right, guys, we gotta get going. We gotta wrap this so that we can get going to create quantum commerce and catfish bounty hunting. We got 2 new businesses that have spun out of this 1 hour.
And the Get Me a Tomato brand. That's a good one.
Oh yeah,
Get Me a Tomato.
And the only onboarding fee is LOVE.
Oh yeah,
it's Valentine's Day coming up.
It's all the currency the world needs. Yeah.
Come on, guys.
Commerce.
'Tis the season. All right. Well, so much more to unpack in the middle of Q1. Brad is slowly turning into some robot. I don't understand. But
It's been a week. As you guys know, it's been a week. So, but I'm ready. I'm ready for today.
all right. Well,
Lions.
good times.
Quantum
Good times.
commerce lions.
If you want to talk more about market expansion, TikTok shop, e-commerce growth, revenue recovery, maybe trying a 3P, 1P Amazon hybrid model, hit us up, currentcommerce.io, and we're on every social channel, currentcommerce.io. That's
In
it.
every universe.
In every multiverse, yeah.
Every universe. Well, they're universes. But we say there's multi-universes. But we are in every universe. The multiverse is one thing, and then in the multiverse are universes.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
It's a whole nother podcast. See you guys.
Thanks, boys. Later.